Okay, so here we are in Scratch. We've clicked on create. We have a brand new blank project. We always see this little cat when we open a Scratch project. That's called a sprite, like we know. It's a character within Scratch, and it always starts over there for us. The first thing I'm going to do, sorry cat, I'm going to delete you. I'm going to click on this little trash can, little bin icon next to you, and you're gone. Now I've got a completely blank canvas. Next thing I'm going to do is name my project. So up here, I'm going to type Peter Rainforest Animation. Okay, I've named my project and I have a blank canvas to begin with. And just a quick reminder of where everything is in Scratch. Over here is our monitor. This is where we're going to see whether or not our code is working. This big area in the middle is where we're actually going to create our code. And over on the left, we have all of the blocks of code that we're going to use. Scratch is a coding platform which uses blocks, almost like little jigsaw pieces, to create a series of instructions, which is what programming is. It's just giving the computer a set of instructions to follow. So I'm going to talk you through how I created my animation, and then you'll be able to have a go at making your own a little bit later on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my project a background. I don't want it to have a white background. So I do that right over here in the bottom right hand corner where it says stage. I have backdrops, and right now I have one backdrop in there. You can see it's blank, it's white. Underneath that, I have an option to choose a backdrop. And I can do a few things. I can upload one if I have a picture on my computer. I can choose a random one. It will just give me one at random. Don't really want to do that right now because I want it to look like a rainforest. I can paint one if I want to make my own by painting a picture. Or I can choose one from the library. That's what I'm going to do because there are lots and lots on here right now. In fact, I'm just going to search up here for a forest. See what we've got. Well, I'm going to go with this one. I like the look of this. It's a jungle. I'm going to go with a jungle background. Okay, background's in place. You can see now it says I have two backdrops because I've got a backdrop which was white, and now I've got the jungle backdrop which I've added in. Okay, the next thing I need is something to actually animate. Right now there's nothing here apart from the backdrop, so I need to add a sprite. A sprite is the name of just an object within Scratch that we can then animate. So to add a sprite, we go down here and we get exactly the same menu as we got with the backdrops. We can upload a picture, we can choose a random one, we can paint our own, or we can choose one from the library. I'm going to choose one from the library, and I would like a picture of a tree. Again, I can look through, or I can just use the little search function, make it quick. All right, I've got two options for trees. I'm going to go with this one. Nice tall tree, add that in. I'm going to move it over to the side. I'm going to put it over there. And just like in the animation I showed you, I'm going to try and make it look as if this tree sets on fire, and then when it's finished burning, it's going to turn black. I'm not just going to have one tree, I'm going to have lots of trees. However, this is a little tip for saving time. The best thing to do is for me to create the code for this tree now. And then by right clicking on the tree down here, I can duplicate it. If I duplicate it now, I will have to do the code for every single tree individually. Whereas if I do the code first and then duplicate it, it will copy all of the code each time. So I'm going to start off just with one tree, and I'm going to do a few things to it. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called some new costumes for it. So I'm going to click on the tree. It's called tree 1. And then I'm going to go all the way over here to where it says costumes. And I'm going to click on costumes. Right now you can see this tree has one costume. Now it's a bit strange to say a tree has a costume. A costume is just what we call it in Scratch when a sprite has different looks. This tree right now just has one way that it looks. It's always just going to look like that unless I change it. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to click duplicate. And now my tree has two different costumes. And what I'm going to do with this costume is I'm going to add some flames to it. But I don't just want one costume with flames, because I want it to look like the flames are moving. So I'm actually going to make 2 separate costumes with different flames. And then it's going to look like those flames are changing when I animate it. And then I want one more costume where the tree has been burned and is all black. So I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times so that I have 4 different costumes for my tree. I'm just going to have a normal tree to begin with. Then I'm going to have 2 trees with flames on them. And the last tree is going to be completely black where it has been burned. So let's start with the flames. I'm going to go to my second costume, tree number 2. I'm going to choose this tool, which is to create a circle. I want to create an oval to make the shape of my flames. You could just paint it freehand if you want. I'm going to use this to give it a bit of a clear shape. I don't want my shape to have an outline, so I'm going to click on this so it doesn't have a line around the edge, and I don't think I want purple flames. So I'm going to start off by choosing the color red. I'm going to go over to my tree and I'm going to put a nice big red oval at the bottom. Maybe I'll turn it a little bit. Yeah, I like the look of that. I'm going to put another one up at the top of the tree up there. Let's have a flame there. Maybe a one over here, quite a small one. Let's move it a little bit that way. And maybe one more on the trunk of the tree there. I'm going to carry on now. I'm going to add a few more, but I'm going to change the color. I'm going to add another oval. I'm going to make these orange now. I'm going to have red, orange, and yellow. So I change the color to orange, add in a few more ovals. I know they don't particularly look like flames right now, but the idea is when I animate it in a minute, they will start hopefully to look a little bit more like flames. And then I'm going to add some more with a bright yellow color this time. So let's add in a few more little flames. These are going to be slightly smaller. I'm going to put one next to each part so it looks like lots of different parts of the tree are on fire. Okay. Now if I click on my costumes, I can see the difference between them. Normal tree, tree with some flames on. Now I'm going to go to tree 3. I'm going to do very similar to what I've just done. I'm going to add some flames to this tree. It doesn't need to be in the same place as the last ones. I'm going to add a few more. And this way I'll have 2 separate costumes for my tree with slightly different flames on them. And when I quickly switch back and forth between them, it's hopefully going to look like my tree is on fire. I'm going to do the same again now. I've got some red ones. I'm going to change it to orange. Let's add in a few orange ones next to these flames. Maybe change the angle a little bit so it looks like the flames are dancing around as flames tend to do. Let's add in another one here. Perfect. And then let's go for some nice bright yellow ones too. Okay, I think we're starting to get there with this one. Just move that one a little bit, move that one a bit. So this is quite time consuming. However, remember, because I'm doing it on this tree, when I duplicate it, I won't have to do it again. I'll be able to make as many trees as I want, and they will all already have these costumes. So I've got my first tree. That's how my animation is going to start. And then it's going to go very quickly between these two to look like it's on fire. And then I want another costume which is completely black. This is easy to do. I'm going to choose a color black. Move this all the way over there. Nice dark black color. I'm going to click on this paint bucket tool and I'm going to click on the different parts of my tree to turn it black. Now it looks like it's all charred, it's all been burned, and now it looks like quite a sorry, sad tree. Now, this tree's ready, but I'm not going to duplicate it yet because if I click on code up here, I haven't added any code to it yet. So if I start my animation, nothing's going to happen. And the reason for that is I haven't told it to do anything yet. I've not given any instructions. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it some instructions. I'm going to say, go to events over here. Events are when we interact with the computer. So when we click something, when we tap something. I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, what do I want this tree to do? Well, actually, to begin with, I don't want it to do anything. I want it to wait. I'm going to ask it to wait for 1 second. So for the first second, it's not going to do anything. It's going to stay exactly as it is. Then I'm going to say, I want this action to repeat. I'm going to ask it to change between my second costume and my third costume. And I want it to repeat that, let's say 10 times to start with. So I'm going to say, whatever goes in here, inside this little sandwich, repeat sandwich, we can put something in there. It's going to repeat what I ask it to do 10 times. I'm going to go to looks because I want to change the look of my sprite. I'm going to click on looks, the purple code, and I'm going to say we're going to switch the costume. Now I want to make sure that my tree is always green to start with. That's costume 1. So I'm actually going to put that underneath the green flag. When the green flag is clicked, switch to costume tree 1. So always at the start of my animation, it's going to be a green tree. Then it's going to wait 1 second. And then I'm going to say, I want you to switch to costume tree 2. And then I want you to switch to costume tree 3. Let's just have a look what it looks like so far. Now, it changes, but I don't see it changing between these two. And I think the reason for that is I haven't left any time in between. So I could use one of these little wait blocks there. If I go back to control, I could say wait in between. Let's see what happens now. So it is changing, but it looks a little bit strange. Maybe let's put another wait after that one. And maybe 1 second is a little bit too long. Flames tend to move a bit quicker. So I'm actually going to say 0.2 seconds. I'm going to change this one as well. 0.2 seconds. Then the flames are going to move much quicker. Okay, that's looking good so far. So after it's done it, let's say, I might change that to a bit longer. I might say 20 times. After it's flicked back and forth 20 times, I would like it to turn black. So that's costume number 4. And I'm going to put that underneath here. It's going to repeat that action 20 times, swapping between the two flame costumes. And then underneath, we're going to change, back in looks, we're going to change to costume tree 4. Let's test it out. Wait for 1 second. 20 times it's going to repeat that burning animation, and then the tree will hopefully turn completely black. Perfect. Okay, that's working really well. However, it doesn't look like much of a forest right now because I only have 1 tree. However, because I've got the code and I've got the costumes on this tree, now I can save myself some time and I can duplicate this tree. Right click on it, duplicate. I'm going to drag this one to where I want it. And let's see what happens now. I have 2 trees that set on fire. Now I want to create the effect that this tree is going to set on fire first, and then this one will set on fire after. And all I need to change is 1 number on here. All I need to change is how long it's going to wait before it starts animating the flames. So I'm going to say for tree number 2, it's going to wait 2 seconds. I'm going to duplicate it again. Make another tree. Tree number 3 is going to go there. And I'm going to make this one wait 3 seconds before it starts burning. Duplicate it again. See how this saves a lot of time now. Because I did it on the first tree, I can just duplicate everything that I've done. I'm going to make this one wait 4 seconds. So hopefully it's going to look like this tree sets this tree on fire, and then that one sets this one on fire, and so on, all the way along until they're all burning. I'm going to add in 1 or 2 more trees, I think. Here's tree 5. Let's get tree 5 to wait for 5 seconds before it starts burning. And let's add 1 more tree. Tree 6 is going to go over there, and tree 6 is going to wait 6 seconds. Okay, let's test out the animation. Here we go. Nice green forest. Fire starts spreading throughout the trees, and as they burn, they should start turning black one after the other when the flames go out. Great. Okay, there we see the animation of the trees burning. Now, you saw on my animation that I showed you before, I also had an animal. I had a bird which was flying across the screen. That's something that we've learned how to do before, how to move a sprite. So I'm not going to show you that right now, but I wonder if anyone is able to add that in themselves, if they can add in an animation of an animal moving. And in the sprites, there are loads and loads of animals that you could choose inside your rainforest. Some of them might not be appropriate for a rainforest, but lots of them are. So maybe you could have an animal running away from the flames. Let me come back to my project. I've lost where I put it now. Here we go. And I am going to show you how to do the text animation, which I had on mine. At the end, when all the trees were burned, it came up, "Save the forest." Now, I'm just going to show you how to animate one word for now, and you can always add more words to yours. I did it by adding some new sprites. If we click on choose a sprite, one of the options we've got is letters. Click on letters, you get lots of options for some fonts, for some different styles of writing. So I'm going to try and write the word save. I'm going to show you how to animate the word save, and then you can use that same technique to animate any words that you'd like to, any slogan that you'd like to put on your video. So choose the letter S, my first letter. I'm going to put it over there. And I'm going to show you another cool little trick now to save you some time. I need to add some code to this word now, because I don't want this to appear right at the start. And if I just press the green flag now, it's going to be there the whole time. I don't want it to be there yet. So I'm going to show you a really cool trick that I don't think I've showed you yet, or that Ashley showed you yet in year 4. And it's in this section, control. Sorry, it's not in control at all. It's in events, in this yellow section. And it's these two things here. Broadcast a message, and this one, when I receive a message. And what this means is you can get sprites to communicate with each other. You can get these sprites to tell each other when to do something, to send a message to each other. And what I'd like to do, I'd like my last tree, when it turns black, I'd like my last tree to send a message to this S to say, right, now it's your turn to appear. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to click on tree 6. Tree 6 is the last tree that's going to burn, this one over here. When it finishes, it turns black. It switches to this costume. When it's done that, only on this tree am I going to do this now. I'm going to choose this block here, broadcast message 1. And I'm going to drop that on the end. And what it means is when it's finished, it's gone through all of its code, it's switched into its black costume at the end, it's going to send a message. The message is called message 1. If you have more than one message, well, you can add more. But we just have one message. And then I'm going to go to my S over here. Now, I don't want my S to be seen at the start. So I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, because I'm talking about, I want it to disappear now, I've got to go to looks, and I'm going to say hide. So when the green flag clicks, it will disappear. It's gone. Okay. But I need it to come back. Right now, it's not going to come back. It's just going to stay hidden. Go back to events, and in events, we have this block. When I receive a message. So we're going to say to this S, when you receive message 1, when tree 6 sends that message, now I want you to appear. When I receive message 1, back in looks, because we want it to appear, we're going to say show. Let's test it out. Hopefully now it will hide all the way up until that last tree has turned black. Let's see. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Perfect. Okay. Now, right now it's not much of a message because it just says S. However, there's another little trick that we can do. Down at the bottom of the screen on Scratch, we have this thing called our backpack. If you click on that, it shows you, your one will most likely be blank. This is where you can store code that you've made to use again. Now, rather than me having to find these every time, I'm going to drag them. I'm going to put them in my backpack. And what that means is they'll always just be there so that I can use them again. So when I get my next letter now, I'm going to choose the letter A, back to letters. I won't need to find all of that code again. There's my letter A. It's got no code, but in my backpack, I've got the code that I just put there. And what I've got to do is drag it back out of there. And there it is. There's the first one. There's the second one. So I don't need to do it now. It's been done for me. Let's click on the green flag. Just double check that it's going to work. Here's the moment of truth. This is quite the fun bit when you're coding. Is it going to work or not? It works. Perfect. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the last two letters. And then I'm going to let you go so that you can try on your own. So I'm going to put in my V, take the code out of my backpack, those two things, and I'm going to add my E. I'm just going to write the word save. I'm not going to do the whole save the forest because I think you probably get the idea. And let's watch it. Oh, I should probably move the letter around so it's in the right place. Let's watch the animation. So trees should start turning black now as that code finishes. One by one, we have the word save appear. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen recording now